Right, all you music makers, video game players, and entertainers from all around the world, welcome to the 559th edition of Music Village. I am your host from the East Coast, DJ Smokey, bringing you the best for the North, Southeast, and West that the world of music and games has to offer. And seeing the fact that this is the first show of the spring solstice and we've got a bit of surprise to kick off this show with, we might as well waste no time and explain to you guys what's going to happen on this very special springtime pre-milestone edition of Music Village. Because we kicked things off with, Carl and Michał said we almost spilled the beans, but with a very special announcement regarding Music Village Radio. And I got a feeling a couple of you out there may like it. I don't know. Also, besides that, we go ahead and check out some cool games from a planet far away from here and from the steam machine alike for another edition of the Friday night Greenlight. And speaking of the color green, and Carl and Michał said very appropriate for this month, we go into a very special Joker's Wild Madness edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories. And if you're wondering at home, it may or may not involve Mark Hamill. Only hint you're getting. Next up on the plate, we go ahead and find out what you independent artists got planned for this weekend for another edition of the Indy for the weekend, which is me giving you guys local concert information from local artists performing in a local area live near you. Then finally, last but not least, and hopefully before the honeybees arrives, we wrap up this show yet another edition of the Up to Speed News, which is me giving you guys news stories from this week from, you guessed it, all around the world. I guess with that said, I might as well tell Carl and Michał to kick up the beats, crank out the tunes, and most importantly, get the confetti ready for the pre-announcement that we're about to make after these musical breaks. Cause it's time for us to bring some fun and delight on your Friday afternoon/night. Only here, right here on Music Village. So let's get this springtime show started, folks. Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Music Village. Now, we did say during the beginning of the show we had a very special announcement for you, the fans out there, or you music makers, video game players, entertainers, streetlight crusaders, listeners of the madness, game show contestants, and everybody else in between that we mention on these shows on a weekly basis. Now, we did say and mention during the end of the last couple of shows we had that we had a live 365 page that we usually bring the music into your homes with, but one thing we forgot to mention was the schedule. And ladies and gentlemen, it's with great pride we now officially have a schedule up for all the shows we're gonna have a part of Music Village Radio with Live 365. Now, for those who've been asking for years on end, yes, we have been bringing shows live to you, but due to the websites that we feature it on, it did require us to have some form of license included with it so we can actually bring the music into your homes from said websites. But thanks to a couple of friends and a couple of things done behind the scenes, thanks to Carl and the Maestro, Vinny and Barney, and even Dan the Weatherman Stu, we were able to find a new home that allows us to play your music without us getting in trouble with the FCC. Well, outside of what we've been doing for well over 11 years. But enough about that. the schedule that will start as of next week. Because for Under the Radar for Monday nights, it'll be officially a part of the Monday night programming that'll kick off at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until most likely midnight. So that means the upload schedule for you SoundCloud fans out there might be a little bit later than most, but it will be brought into your homes. Also, for the Tuesday night special, that show will also be airing at around 8 o'clock until midnight, which means Wednesday morning for you fans out there in SoundCloud land, you will get a chance to have the said episode of the Tuesday night special brought into your homes. Then fast forward to Wednesday night where we will be playing classic episodes of all of your favorite shows over the past 11 years, a part of something we like to call the Wednesday Night Classics, which will feature classic episodes of the Tuesday night special, Under the Radar, Music Village, and even the Indy Radio Arcade, with behind-the-scenes commentary from yours truly. Well, in between the parts before they air, not to be rude. Then finally, for Friday, we will feature a new episode of Music Village brought into your homes at around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, all the way until 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, we don't know the other time zones, so that's why we had to say Eastern Standard Time for all of these to cover a lot of bases, according to Carl and the Maestro. And then on alternating Saturdays, we will be featuring new episodes of the Indie Radio Arcade that will be taking place at approximately 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, originally we were going to have it earlier than that, but due to the unpredictability of the weekend for us, we had to pick a time that was, reasonable. And I think 5 o'clock will do it. Now, if it does change in the future, we will let you know. A part of our Discord page and Twitter pages, still all named the same, only known as the Double Agent 0012. And as a matter of fact, and we almost forgot to include the YouTube page in there, because for YouTube, for you fans out there at home, we will be bringing episodes to you at home who doesn't have access to SoundCloud or any of the other pages we have. All of our old episodes and current episodes alike will be uploaded 24 hours after the shows that airs on the air. So, yeah, they'll be featured on air. And for those who happen to miss the show with all the beautiful musical tunes that we had a part of it, don't fret, because replays for those said shows will be taking place all day Saturday and all day Sunday for your listening pleasure at home. So yeah, if you missed out on the Tuesday night special for this week because it was at the butt crack of, infomercial hours, according to Carl and the Maestro, you can catch it again on Saturday. If you missed out on Under the Radar and all the madness, Saturday. Tuesday night special, as we mentioned before, Saturday. Music Village, Saturday. Even the Indie Radio Arcade on Saturday. And shows from the week prior will play approximately 2 to 4 hours prior to the new episodes that will be taking place on the days we mentioned prior. And Carl and the Maestro said, you're just reading it from that spreadsheet you sent me last night. Yeah, I guess that was the best answer we could give. Leave me alone. And finally, on top of all of that, to all you indie artists out there, outside of the modern tunes that we're currently playing, our goal for Music Village Radio in the future is to have your music featured in the forefront. So make sure you head on over to our submission page or over to our website, or according to Carl and the Maestro, that'll be up in the near future. But you can head on over to our email page known as musicvillagebluestown@yahoo.com to submit your music in to be a part of Music Village Radio to be featured on our shows in the near future. And I promise you, we will not be toe tapping in the car while listening to these said songs while trying to bring your music to the forefront. And Carl and the Maestro said that's a half promise because you're going to probably do it anyway. And you're right. And you're right. And with that big special announcement out of the way, folks, and with a big future that we have to plan for with your music and our brand of silliness, I think it's time for us to head back into that music and feature one of the indie artists we mentioned earlier, which we'll be playing next. So with that being said, Carl and the Maestro head into the musical library, and when we return, we'll be back with another edition of the Friday Night Greenlight as Music Village rolls on right after this. So don't go anywhere just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Music Village. And for those wondering at home, how long have we had that hidden under the giant oversized tarp in the back? Apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, since after the Indy Awards. And as a little bit of a heads up and a special treat for you fans at home, the entire Night 1 and Night 2 of the Indy Awards will be in a giant oversized marathon featured next week. Don't know how in the world we're going to be able to pull that off, but according to Carl and the Maestro, they know a couple of people with a couple of musical tunes for that. But besides covering my musical backside, as they said during the break, I think it's time for us to cover a couple of cool games from a planet far away from here and from the Steam machine alike for a very special springtime edition of the Friday Night Greenlight. Which I think we might have called it the Spring Light at one point and they shot it down. And the first game that we have up comes from the itch.io page of Sunscreen with their said game of Ephemeral Frame. And this game automatically reminds me of, I would have to say Tron. And the only reason why is because the fact that you played a game and just magically entered into the scene of it. And Carl and the Maestro said this reminds them of Resident Evil 7 with those creepy video VHS tapes you would find in that house. Okay, I'll take that too. Now, here's hoping in the near future for this set game that you can find a way out of that place once you're in it. Cause I got a feeling the second you hit around that corner inside of that, I do believe, cathedral, there's gonna be some form of Markland beast that's gonna come after you, so a quick escape plan would be wonderful. Hopefully. And the next game that we have up comes from the developers Lucas Ludin with their said game of Honeymancer. Nice name for the game. And this game automatically reminds me of, I would have to say it reminds me of Pokemon a little bit. Yeah, definitely reminds me of Pokemon, especially with the giant oversized bee in the road. And Carl and Michał said there was no bee in the road in the game of Pokemon. Oh yeah, I forgot, there was a Snorlax, but that bee is the size of a Snorlax, which got me confused. So here's hoping in the near future as a Honeymancer, you get a chance to control bees as well, and maybe the occasional bear that helps you out on your journey. And Carl and Maestro said, I'm not sure you can befriend the bear, but the bees, it might be a high possibility thanks to the honey. All right, I'll take it. Now, if you can create a bee tornado, and they immediately told me to go to the next game. All right, fine. But besides trying to make a tornado out of bees to attack bears that may try to attack you, that I hope's in the game we mentioned prior to this one, which comes from the developers Little Fighter Co. Marty Wong with their said game of Little Fighter 2 Remastered. And this game automatically reminds me of, you know what, King of Fighters. Yeah, definitely reminds me of King of Fighters. And here's hoping in the near future for this game that one of the attacks you can pull off, especially with the one who looks like he's a black belt, is the attack of a tiger knee to take out your opponent. And Carl in the My Show immediately said there's no tiger knee in this game, but there's arrows, there's flaming shots that you can do, and wizardry. But not a single tiger knee is what you're telling me. And they said yes. All right, I'll take it. Anyway, the next game that we have up comes from the developers Cura LLC with their set game of Lunacid Tears of the Moon. Hey, that sounds like a fancy movie. Hold on, give me 1 sec. Hey guy, come here. Yeah, come over here. There's a fancy movie title I want you to read. Y'all read on the screen. Lunacid Tears of the Moon, coming soon to a theater near you. Hey, thanks, man. And this game automatically reminds me, right off the bat, thanks to that giant praying mantis, of the Bug Island. Now, here's hoping in the near future for this game that you have some form of flame-like powers that take out that giant oversized mantis. And I got a feeling there's a giant spider in this too, so I'm really hoping for whatever sort of comet or flame-like power to blow that nest to bejesus and back. Cause, yeah, I don't want to get anywhere near a spider in this game because the mantises are that size. I can only imagine how big the spiders are. And I don't want any piece of it. At all. At all. But besides my arachnophobia acting up once again, folks, the next game that we have up comes from the developers Coex Studios with their set game of Scarred. And this game automatically reminds me of, well, Silent Hill. Yep, definitely remind me of Silent Hill. And the reason for that, folks, is because of the creepy basketball court that's there. And not to mention some weird and creepy person whispering through your ear on the other side of a screen door, who looks like their face was melted. So, yeah, here's hoping in the near future for this game that not only you get a chance to try to get your friends to help you get out of this place, but maybe, just maybe, a chance for you to not go there at all. And Carl in the Maestro said the second one we're not too entirely sure about, but the first one, yeah, we can probably pull that one off. Okay, I'll take what I can get at this point, especially with those creepy Markland beasts in there. Yeah, I'll take what I can get. And the next game that we have up comes from the developers Gel Budge with their set game of AV Assembly. And this game automatically reminds me of that simulator of the way things work, where you get a chance to build the craziest contraptions to see if it can fly, drive, or ride in water. And here's hoping in the near future for this game, which also reminds me of the gummy ships that I used to build in Kingdom Hearts, that you get a chance to build something more than the old school classic World War II planes. And Carl and the Maestro showed me a picture of a jetliner, a jet fighter, and even a Learjet that you can build in this game, as well as a weird invention that includes 3 Learjets hooked up together. Oh, I'm gonna have a ball with this, so here's hoping we get a chance to flight test these things. And he said yes. Oh, if we can upload them online, I swear to you, I'm gonna show you some of the craziest plane designs this side of the Wright brothers. And according to Carl and the Maestro, you were gonna do that anyway. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And the last but not least game that we have up for this week, besides crazy aviation ideas from inside my brain, comes from the developers Greenlight Games, hopefully we said that name right, with their set game of Rosewater. And this game automatically reminds me of a combination of not only 310 to Yuma, but with a little hint of Go West in there as well too, with a splash of A Million Ways to Die in the West as well. Now, here's hoping in the near future for this game that you get a chance to pick what character you decide to be for it in this small town. And I got a feeling I would pick the role of the gunslinger if it's possible. Mostly to be the person to try to help against the bandits and have one of those cool standoffs that has the good, the bad, and the ugly theme in it. And Carl and the Maestro said you only play as Harley with a posse that you can have join you. Well, here's hoping that in my posse is the person we described before. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out any other cool games that comes from a planet far away from here, yet close enough to be beamed into your homes in less than 24 hours, then you can go ahead and head on over to the Free Game Planet page of one man only known as freegameplanet.com to check out a whole bunch of cool, weird, frightening, and scary games that are just out of this world. And if you also want to go ahead and check out any other cool games that are still making their way through the cargo ship, cargo plane, or even subterranean train that is currently rumbling underneath your toes from the world of Steam, then you can go ahead and check it out on the store.steam power page of one man only known as store.steampowered.com and click ever so lightly on that upcoming button while clicking on that Indy button to go along with it to check out a whole bunch of cool indie games that I got a feeling would drive you absolutely insane with a pair of MC Etcher scares. And, stairs, right? Not scares. He said stairs. Stairs. Right. But what about the scary things on the stairs? He said, you know what? Use both of them. And I guess with that said, folks, I think it's time for us to head back to that music once again. And when we return, we'll be back with yet another new DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories right after this. So don't go anywhere just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Right, all you video gamers, welcome to yet another Joker's Wild Madhouse edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories. And with a title like that, we decided to go with the game none other than Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. So without any further ado, I think it's time for us to grab as many explosives and laughs as we possibly can to take it to alien forces from another planet as we get ready to paint the picture. All right. This video game story began approximately 2 months ago when I first got my hands on this game and decided to immediately go for the clown prince of laughs himself, the Joker. And the reason why is because of a clip I saw online of him floating around with an umbrella like Mary Poppins and dropping explosives on people's heads. And I would immediately say after that, yeah, this guy's right up my alley. And even though at the time I was using Mrs. Freeze and was freezing enemies at an alarming rate, after I was able to go through the Joker's story for the first season of the Suicide Squad game, I would immediately realize that, yeah, he definitely was worth the wait. Because as I was doing one of the first missions with him, which would be the Laugh Riot mission, under Mastery Level 3, where I would have to kill well over 150 enemies in under 9 minutes, I would realize, like I said before, this guy was definitely worth the wait. Because once I decided to go down into one of the areas where the enemies were when they started to pop up all over the place on the rooftops, I would immediately try his new attack, which causes him to leap up into the air and drop presents below to the people that's underneath them, which the presents in this case would be a whole bunch of explosives that would take out each and every last one of them with well over 20,000 damage apiece, including the booster I was able to add with the explosives that he would use that would raise up the abilities that he would have once again, making it an endless combination of fun, laughs, and mayhem. And the first attack I would be able to do would be able to take out only but 12 of them, but as I was making my way through the level, floating around like Mary Poppins, throwing grenades in all sorts of different places, I would realize that that 138 would surely drop down to 54, then to 38, then to 32. But the reason why in the world it didn't drop any further than that is because of one of those Green Lantern helicopters that was shielded by the Green Lantern that blasted me out of the sky with a whole bunch of ice attacks, killing me instantly. But luckily for me, Mrs. Freeze was right there to pick me up off the ground so I can continue my work, which would be blasting the daylights out of them, enough so that I can roll out of there with my umbrella in hand saying toodaloo, flying into the air and going right directly into the portal to try the mission again to get better weapons for the Joker. And as I was making my way through this level, because I said after the first time where I would get killed once and frozen by that helicopter, I'm coming back for my revenge. Who do they think they are taking me out? I'm the Joker. I'm gonna get them. And I would indeed, but this time instead of spreading the joy all around, I would plant myself on one giant oversized building, daring them to come and get me and try to take me out. And funny enough, they would fall for it. Every single last one of them would all jump up the side of the building, all would try to attack me for me to use shield attacks, counter attacks, and even the same explosive present attack I used before to take out everybody in less than 3 minutes under the mastery level of 4. And the fact that I was able to take out at least 50 of them with that one giant explosive attack I did before was absolutely insane. I mean, not as insane as me using that umbrella like Mary Poppins and flying up toward one of those helicopters with a shotgun and taking it out at point-blank range, nor as insane as I was when I decided to take out the giant tank enemies on the ground using the Catwoman grenades that sent cat claws after them and caused a chain reaction with another explosion that I would do, but just as insane. Pretty close. And to this day, my record still stands at 3 minutes of taking out 150 enemies, and a personal record that I got a feeling if I look hard enough, Carl and the Maestro might be able to beat. Because they're pretty good with the Joker too. Kinda scares me. But besides that scary bit of fun that Carl and the Maestro has outside of these shows, wraps it up for a very special, explosive, Joker's Madhouse edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories. And with that, we'll be back with more right after this. So stay tuned. Right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Music Village. And about that prior video game story, yeah, apparently Carl the Maestro would be able to beat my record by well over 2 minutes. And I'm still trying to figure out how in the world they were able to get all those enemies in one spot and beat them in under a minute. And apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro over in the corner, they would say that, yeah, they were able to take them out by just pogo sticking their way with explosives from one spot to the next, taking out 50 apiece. Huh. Never would have thought about that. I might have to try that myself. But besides trying techniques from Carl and the Maestro from a game filled with its own fair share of madness, I think it's time for us to go into one of my favorite parts of the show. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, none other than the Indy for the weekend, which is me giving you guys local concert information from local artists performing in a local area live near you. And we kick things off with Friday, March 21st, and the first band we have up is Stu Hooten, who's going to be performing at the Simply Greek Restaurant and Bar in Long Branch, New Jersey at 6 p.m. Russell Norkovic is going to be performing at the Lambertville House in Lambertville, New Jersey at 6 p.m. Cersei is going to be performing at the Berlin Brewing in Berlin, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Ziggy Isaacs is going to be performing at the Ramblewood Golf Club in Mount Laurel, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Gavin Addock is going to be performing at the Starland Bar Room in Sayreville, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Gerald Esposito is going to be performing at the Villa Vittoria Ristorante in Brick, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Pam McCoy is going to be performing at the McLuhan's Rum Runner in Seabright, New Jersey at 7:30 p.m. Mike Garangia with the Coots is both going to be performing at the Tony's Restaurant and Pub in Hardingston Township, New Jersey at 8 p.m. Intoxication with the Venom Assembly and Evil or Divine, nice band names, is all going to be performing at the Artie's River Beach Bar in Frenchtown, New Jersey at 8 p.m. And to finally wrap things up for... and Carl and the Maestro laughing about this one too. To finally wrap things up for Friday night, you can see Almost Autumn, who's going to be performing at the Nook in Hackettstown, New Jersey at 8 p.m. Almost autumn when it's just turned spring. Anyway, folks, next bands we have up for Saturday, March 22nd, which you could see in a local area near you live. And the first band we have up is Darren DeMarco, who's going to be performing at the Foxhole Lounge in Berkeley Heights, New Jersey at 6 p.m. Real Rock Drive, Carmen Constantino and Hurricane Bob Alfonso is all going to be performing at the Beneduce Vineyard in Pittstown, New Jersey at 6 p.m. Jordan Jensen is going to be performing at the New Jersey Performing Arts Center in Newark, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Almost Autumn is going to be performing at the Irving Social in Rahway, New Jersey at 7 p.m. Lounge Act with All Violet is all going to be performing at the Crossroads in Garwood, New Jersey at 7 p.m. James Popick is going to be performing at the Watt Hotel Rahway Tapestry Collection by Hilton in Rahway, New Jersey at 8 p.m. Motor City Review is going to be performing at the Tim McLoone Supper Club in Asbury Park, New Jersey at 8 p.m. Jeff Gunther with the Coots is all going to be performing at the Lakeside Restaurant and Bar in Wayne, New Jersey at 8:30 p.m. Mike Garangia with Sharp Edge is going to be performing at the Great Notch Inn in Little Falls, New Jersey at 9 p.m. And to finally wrap things up for Saturday night, you can see Sherry Lynn, who's going to be performing at the Bar Name Duo at Philly Sports Bar in Rummendeed, New Jersey at 9 p.m. And Carl and the Maestro said close enough. I know. And on Sunday, March 23rd, you can see these following bands performing in a local area near you live. The Langers Ball is going to be performing at the Arizona Renaissance Festival in Apache Junction, Arizona at 10 a.m. Jim Sloan and Friends is going to be performing at the Red Brick Tavern in Conroe, Texas at 11:30 a.m. My Blue Soul is going to be performing at the Winters Tavern in Pacifica, California at 3 p.m. J-Side is going to be performing at the Seville Quarter in Pensacola, Florida at 4 p.m. Vibe Irie is going to be performing at the Seville Quarter in Pensacola, Florida at 4 p.m. Apparently, according to Carl and the Maestro, it's a different side of the quarter they're performing on. Hence the reason why they're separate. All right? Anyway, next band we have up is Casey James, who's going to be performing at the Token Lounge in Westland, Michigan at 5:30 p.m. Fuss Hussey with King's X is all going to be performing at the Whiskey A Go-Go in West Hollywood, California at 6 p.m. Wednesday 13 with Stitched Up Heart, Dead Rabbits, and Yotoa is all going to be performing at the Brick by Brick in San Diego, California at 6 p.m. Smile Empty Soul with Tripwire is all going to be performing at the Rev Room in Little Rock, Arkansas at 6 p.m. Todd Allen Hendren is all going to be performing at the Todd Hendren Theater in Panama City Beach, Florida at 6 p.m. Ricky Ray is going to be performing at the Main Street Station Bistro in Gordonville, California at 6 p.m. Railford Stark is going to be performing at the Little Bar Restaurant in Goodland, Florida at 6 p.m. And to finally wrap things up for Sunday night, you can see Solid Riff, who's going to be performing at the Luna Bob in South Padre Island, Texas at 9 p.m. And on Monday, March 24th, you could see these following bands performing in a local area live near you. A Coastal Gentleman is going to be performing at the Shaggy's Harbor Bar in Pass Christian, Massachusetts at 12 p.m. Magic Monday Gaming Night is going to be performing at the NCOM Cyber Hall in Norman, Oklahoma at 4 p.m. The Do-Over is going to be performing at the Laguna Bob in South Padre Island, Texas at 6 p.m. Agonistic Front with Murphy's Law and Violent Way, nice band names, is all going to be performing at the Brick by Brick in San Diego, California at 6 p.m. Sky Covington Live is going to be performing at the Aretha's Jazz Cafe in Detroit, Michigan at 6 p.m. Jazz Richmond is going to be performing at the Little Bar Restaurant in Goodland, Florida at 7 p.m. Zach Johnson is going to be performing at the Red Brick Tavern in Conroe, Texas at 7 p.m. You can also see Baker Thomas Band, who's going to be performing at the Jimmy's Jazz and Blues Club in Portsmouth, New Hampshire at 7 p.m. Megan Pools is going to be performing at the Parlor in Franklin, Tennessee. I knew it was Tennessee at 7 p.m. And Carl and the Maestro said, why didn't you Tennessee where it was? Because the screen flickered out for a second. and it did it again. Weird. Then finally, last but not least, to wrap things up for Monday night, hopefully before the screen completely flickers out, you can see the Garage Boys, who's going to be performing at the Fremont Street Experience in Las Vegas, Nevada at 10 p.m. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out the complete list of bands that we couldn't list during this very broadcast, and trust me folks, there were a lot of them, you can head on over to ReverbNation.com to check out the complete list of bands that we couldn't list during this very broadcast. And while you're over there, check out a couple of their cool tunes. Trust me, worth the listen. Like we say at the end of all of these skits, go out there, support your local artists, and see these guys perform live. And trust me, they'll love you for it. I guess with that said, I think it's time for us to head back to that music and continue to listen into these Diamonds in the Rough, only here, right here, on Music Village. So don't wear your horns out in open traffic just yet, folks, and stay tuned. And we're back with the afternoon and evening show that may adjust its time schedules due to certain things happening, only known as Music Village. And I almost forgot that we may need to adjust the time for Under the Radar around, 4 in the afternoon on Mondays? Yeah, 4, 5, or 8. It will be the times for that show slot. And Carl and Michał said, why are you being wishy-washy with the time with that? Well, it all depends on what time I get off of work. Yeah, that tends to be an issue. And not to mention, also depends on traffic. Hence the reason why this show is usually at around 5 or 8 o'clock at night. But you know what? I'm going to keep it at 5, just in case. But besides me trying to figure out what times we're going to bring shows into your very homes from coast to coast and post to post, to quote Jacob Fatu, I'm going to get at my watch right now. Oh, it's just about that time. It's the witching hour, which means it's time for us to be brought up to speed with news stories from this week from, you guessed it, all around the world. And in our first news story, and an exciting news for you fans out there of the kill count looking for new movies to watch for kills, I have some good news for you. Cause this week they decided to do a kill count on a movie that was suggested to me by several friends and Carl and the Maestro alike, known as The Substance. And after checking out this movie and how graphic things get, yeah, I may check this out this weekend. And not to mention, may have to watch it with one eye squint because, yeah, it gets really brutal with some of the kills in this. And Carla the Michał said, trust me, you'll enjoy it. Oh, I bet I would. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out the cool kill count for the movie that was released last year, but still has a lot of good kills to mention for this year, then you can go ahead and check it out on the YouTube page of one man only known as Dead Meat to check it out for yourself. And in other news and more or less music metal cover news, for you fans out there who always wanted to hear the Spice Girls Wanna Be in a metal form, well, the man with the metal mohawk got you covered for this week, because none other than OHP would step up to the plate and do a metal cover of the classic Spice Girls song of Wannabe. Now, I wonder if he can ever do a metal cover of the song Girl Power in the near future. And Carl and Michał said he could probably pull it off, and I agree. That, or have the other person he had on the week prior to actually do a cover of the song with him. You know, a bit of a duet. And Carl and Michał had said that maybe. All right, you put it in the maybe category. And I got a feeling it will happen one day, someday, but not today. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out this week's metal cover with a little extra spice added to it thanks to OHP, then you can go ahead and head on over to the YouTube page of one man only known as OHP to check it out for yourselves. And in other news, and more or less Willy Wonka news, and something that I never thought I would see in real life, but I had a feeling it was going to happen one day. But Netflix makes it happen because they decided to come up with a Willy Wonka chocolate factory for people to try to win a golden ticket to try to gain entry into the factory. And it would say that only players who find a coveted golden ticket will gain entry to the factory. Now, I'm trying to wonder, if you get a golden ticket, will the same crazy off-the-wall things that happened to all the kids that went into that factory is going to happen to you? And do you have to sign a legal waiver for any form of double dare madness you're going to have to go through for it? And will they have the Oompa Loompas? Will they have everlasting gobstoppers? And will someone get caught up in the fans trying to drink fizzy lift drinks? Yeah, that's an answer that I got a feeling only Netflix knows the answer to, and something we may find out in the near future. But I'll definitely watch it. I'll tell you that much. I already watched a couple of the episodes of the spy show they had themed after James Bond and loved it. So I got a feeling this one is going to be a good one too. Hopefully with no major injuries. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out at least the trailer for this said show coming soon to a Netflix account near you, then you can go ahead and head on over to the YouTube page of one man only known as Netflix to check it out for yourselves. And also head on over to their Twitter page known as Netflix to actually get entry for the said golden ticket. And only people in the US can apply to this. So, yeah, I got a bad feeling about this, but I'm gonna just let it ride, like Carl and the Michał told me to, and just let it ride. All right, cool. And with all those regular news stories out of the way for this week, folks, you guys at home know what time it is. No, Carl and the Michał, it's not time for us to grab a net to try to catch honeybees, even though I think that's not a great idea, and I think he's trying to do that to go bee flying like an episode of Cow and Chicken. But to get back on track here, folks, it's time for us to go into a very special springtime edition of Video Game And yes, Carl and the Michał, we had to go overboard with it because it's the springtime. And in our first news story, and in more or less train update news, for you fans out there who always wanted to play as Atomic the Tank Engine and was wondering when in the world the update was coming out, well, this week. And the fact that they included not only the cars that Thomas would be able to carry alongside with him, plus another car included into the mix is pretty cool. And Carl and the Maestro is looking over in the corner and saying, wait a minute, How in the world you do not remember the names of the Thomas the Tank Engine cars? Well, the last time I watched Thomas the Tank Engine was when I was the wee young age of around 9. And the reason why I stopped watching it is because they replaced the guy who played the actual conductor that was a part of it that I didn't know was George Carlin at the time. And yeah, I was really heartbroken to see him leave the show, so I stopped watching it after that. But watched it again another 6 years later and then never watched it again ever since. But either way you look at it, folks, for you fans out there who wants to go ahead and check out all of the cool trains for Thomas and Friends, then you can go ahead and head on over to the YouTube page of one man only known as Dovetail Games to check it out for yourselves. And before we go, folks, we also would like to say that the engine's names is Annie and Clarabelle, or Clarabelle? Never got her name right. Either way you look at it, they come with Thomas the Tank Engine, and you also have Diesel, who's going to be a part of the said gameplay as well, too. Just make sure you have the recent DLC for the game, and you should be able to participate in the train goodness, which is the West Somerset Railway that they have. You know, just as a heads up. And in other news of the video game variety and more or less up, down, down news. For you fans out there who always wanted to see up, down, down on the Vegas Strip, well, this past week was your big chance to do so. Because we would see not only Tyler Breeze, aka Prince Pretty, Austin Creed, and the current up, down, down champion, R-Truth? Along with Mr. 24/7, all playing the game of WWE 2K25 while looking at the giant oversized skyscraper in Las Vegas. Now, as they try to figure out what's going on with the up, down, down championship and why R-Truth is in possession of it, the fact that they were able to play on the Vegas Strip on that giant oversized skyscraper reminds me of the time they went to the AT&T Stadium with the phenomenal one AJ Styles and played on the giant TV inside of AT&T Stadium, which was pretty cool to see. Just as cool as the skyscraper. Which makes me wonder, what is the next big object they're gonna play on next? I just thought about it. What if they played in the dome? That would be insane. The Vegas Sphere? That $1 million or $1 billion structure? Or well over $1 billion structure. Either way you look at it, it would be pretty insane to see them play inside that sphere with the up, down, down, and left, right logos in there. So here's hoping it happens. Here hopes it happens. And Colin Michel said Dakota Kai was with him too. Oh, how could I possibly forget? But if you guys want to go ahead and check out this skyscraper madness, then you can go ahead and head on over to the YouTube page of one man only known as Up, Down, Down to check it out for yourselves. And in other video game news, and in news for you fans out there looking for a little extra cash from the Guzman jobs. Because this week, for you fans out there who was able to clear the final mission for the Titan job for Hector Guzman, Oscar. I know it's Oscar, but I keep calling him Hector. Oscar Guzman flies again. You can get double the amount of money from now until March 26th. And alongside with all of that, you can also get double the amount of money on the Vespucci Job remix. Even seeing you go home with the White Western brand tee for any of you out there who was able to loot 3 stash houses this week, and you will get $100,000 to go along with it too. Nice. And hopefully to get you a new bike. Maybe the Western. Just throwing it out there. And also for this week, for you fans out there looking to get the prize ride, it is none other than the Enos Windsor Drop, the coupe car that can be in your garage if you're able to win 5 races or place in the top 5 for 3 days in a row to get the keys to it. And And on the lucky wheel for this week, none other than the Maibatsu Monostro CT, the off-road vehicle. Not bad. Not bad at all. And Carl and the Maestro handed me the paper to read off the discounts for this week, and the first one we got up is the big oversized Dorito chip plane known as the RO86 Alcanos, 20% off. The Western Company Rogue plane, 40% off. The Mammoth Dreamer 216 Bomber, 40% off. The Sea Sparrow, 40% off. The Benefactor SM722, 30% off. The Enos Deity, 30% off. And even the Valkyria, 30% off for this week. And if you guys want to go ahead and check out any of the other cool deals that are still coming down the tubes from the world of Rockstar, then you can go ahead and head on over to the socialclub.rockstargames page, only known as socialclub.rockstargames.com, under the Newswire section. Then check out all those deals and cool things for yourselves. And I guess with that said, for this week, you've all officially been brought up. Wait 1 second, I'm going to try to see if I can match the beat. 1 sec. All right, it looks like we got the spring rhythm. Yep, stepping in time, stepping in time. All right, that's enough of that because you've been brought up to speed. And I guess with that said, I think it's time for us to head back to that music one more time. And when we return, we'll be back with the final segment for Music Village for this week, right after this. So don't get lost in that afternoon or evening traffic just yet, folks, and stay tuned. Well, ladies and gentlemen, seeing the fact that the street lights are starting to turn on and the evening traffic is really starting to pick up, we might as well follow the even flow of it all and bring Music Village for this week to an emphatic close. But don't worry, if you miss any of this springtime goodness that we were able to bring for you this week, we got you covered, because you can catch this show again one more time, all the time, on our SoundCloud, Facebook, Instagram, and Live 365, as well as Tumblr pages still all named the same, only known as Music Village Radio under the hashtag MusicVillage559. And wow, that's gonna be the last time joke for a show we have for this one for another 40 episodes. So yeah, I think that wraps it up, and the best joke Carl and the Maestro had over in the corner is that we should have been on this mic at 5:59, but technical glitches led us to be on a little bit later than that. And if you guys want to figure out what the crazy and zany things we still got prepared for this month of madness, like a dose of spring madness that sprung on us thanks to a whole bunch of technical glitches, then you can go ahead and check it out on our YouTube, Discord, and Twitter pages, still all named the same, only known as the Double Agent 0012. Before we head out for the night, we would like to thank, as always, I was about to call you Streetlight Crusaders, but I think we can technically, but we'll stick with the original. You the fans out there for listening into a very special spring kickoff edition of Music Village. And if you guys and gals out there like what you heard, go out there and spread the word. You know what? Like the Joker entering in his cell for the first time in Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. Yeah, you know the PR department knows where I'm going with this one, and they're wearing the same suit the Joker wore. Did he let you borrow that? Apparently, yes, according to the PR department. And said, bring it back in the same condition, or we'll get you. What does get you mean? You know what? I don't even want to know. And we would also like to thank you, the independent artists out there, for doing that musical goodness like you always do. And keep up the great work, guys. And here's hoping your music gets featured in a cool action game in the near future. And why? Because we believe in you guys. That's why. That's why. And speaking of people we believe in to be a part of action scenes of absolute insanity, we would like to thank our musical guest for this week, none other than Tekno AXE, with his said song of Electric Superstar that was featured during this week's Joker's Wild Explosive Madness edition of the DJ Smokey's True Video Game Stories. And Carl in the Maestro says it's Electronic Superstar. Well, that's what the Joker was during that video game story, but anyway you look at it, thanks once again, Tekno AXE, and we can't wait to hear what you got coming down the tubes next. So keep up the great work. And before we could possibly forget, Carl and the Maestro, thanks to you guys as well, too, for the song that's wrapping things up for tonight, none other than the Blue Collar Jam Session that's currently wrapping things up as we speak for this week's edition of Music Village. And as always, guys, keep up the great work, and we can't wait to hear what you got coming down the tubes next. And finally, last but certainly not least, we would like to thank you, the independent gamers out there, for coming out with all those sweet, sweet video game hits and clips we had a chance to mention during this week's show. And like always, guys, keep up the great work, and we can't wait to see what sort of cool games you got coming down the tubes as well. And you never know what show might be coming around the corner for it. So, hint, 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 hint. And I guess with everybody thank you guys out there, we go out. I'm DJ Smokey on behalf of Carl and the Maestro, and for the start of the spring solstice for this show, saying, ooh, is that real cinder block? 5 stars. But most importantly, when there's smoke, there's fire. And we'll see you guys next week for a very special month-ending Milestone of Madness edition of Music Village. A lot of M's for that. Gotta love it. But until then, good night, everybody.